Hello and welcome on my channel, Wolf Aqua, your channel about horticulture, aquaponics and aquaculture. And in this episode I'm going to show you how I redesigned the water circulation in my aquaponics school system, and I did some other small things, but what I did I'm going to show you now in this video. And let's go! When I was coming back from California, I still had some time left. The winter semester at the university has already started, and many courses I could not pass because I missed out mandatory practicals that I couldn't join because I did my internship. But already before I went to Cali, I took care to do another internship at a huge recirculating aquaculture system. This farm was specialized on growing sturgeon for the caviar production and had a footprint of several thousand square meters. Back in the days, the company was called Aqua Orbis, and it was definitely an interesting internship where I learned a lot about ROS technology from very experienced people. During the winter time, I made plans to make the school system much more user-friendly. Next to that, I took the pump from the system and gave it a deep clean. While I was cleaning the pump, I noticed the thread. I took the measurements and got the right PVC connection parts to connect the pump straight to a pipe. Actually to the pipe that connects my sump to the fish tank. I had the feeling it was better for the water flow to connect the pump to a pipe compared to a narrow hose connector. At the system, I turned around the grow beds at 180 degrees so that the former outlet was pointing towards the middle of the greenhouse. The benefit was that I could use original IBC outlets to bring back the water from the plants to the sump. With the right parts, it's not a problem to connect the IBC's outlets with a pipe. Furthermore, I moved the grow beds at stones to have them equally leveled at the same height. The outlet of the biofilter towards the plants I designed in such a way that I could regulate the water flow by moving a 90 degrees elbow. That does not allow 100% equal water distribution, but better than the years before, at least in my opinion. And that season I also wanted to try out a new biofilter media called biochips. Here's a picture from them. Following the datasheet, it should have at least 4 times more surface area compared to the media I used before. And that's interesting because by utilizing a media with more surface area, you really can increase the performance or the capability of your biofilter a lot. Because in the end, what we need is a surface area for materials to grow on that do the nitrogen cycle for us. And to pre-start the media, I placed it in the bags to keep it contained and put it in one of my grow beds or later in the sump. The winter had a lot of snow for us that year, but all in all the fish survived also the second winter in the system without any problem or heating. So the season could start right away with pre-grown fish. And this is how my fish looked at the winter time. By the way, I had 25 mirror crabs, and the nice thing is if you start with fish from the season before, this fish can handle already much more feed, and in turn they can also produce then more nutrients for our plants. Here a quick view in my biofilter when it's empty. I replaced the aeration again to figure out the optimal location that the media is very nicely moving. And this is how my circulation was set up. The water comes from the fish tank into a small modified pond filter to catch the solids. Modified in that sense that I make the inlet bigger to connect it straight to my pipe. From there it went to my moving bed biofilter and then to the plants. I did not use any air stone in my plant section because I think in the biofilter there was already a lot of air blown into the water. And from the plants, the water went back to the sump and back to the fish. I just want to mention a small trick. I placed an elbow at the inlet of the sump where the water from the plants came in, and depending on the position of that elbow, I was able to regulate the water level inside my grow beds very easily. That is especially important for the beginning of the season when the roots do not reach the water yet. Then I just can increase the elbow a little bit, and then the water or the plants can touch the water. Or if I just want to irrigate from the bottom of my plants, I just also increase the elbow a little bit for a few moments or minutes, get them soaked with water, and then I lower it again so that there is a small gap of air between the net pot and the water. By the way, that canister there on top of the sump tank was for regulating the pH. It worked very simple. Depending on the pH, an alkaline solution with potassium or calcium was made and placed in that canister. At the bottom was a small bore valve that got slightly open, just that a few drops were passing through. And in this way we were able to keep the pH stable in a very easy way. So the water or the alkaline solution was then dripping into the system throughout the day, and based on experience we knew how much of the solid substance, so calcium or potassium, we were needed to keep the pH in a good range. As plants, I had in that year again tomatoes, eggplant, 1 chili, zucchini and bush beans. All plants were pre-grown in soil and in a net pot. With raising temperatures, the fish were hungry and the season could start right away. Some plants managed faster than others to put roots into the water, what caused some differences in length growth. But after a short time, all plants were established and the first flowers showed up. And also, the new biofilter media was ready to try out. So you could see some algae and bacterial growth on them already. So I replaced the old biofilter media with a new biofilter media. However, I also kept the former biofilter media contained in bags in my sump tank just as a backup to be always sure to have enough surface area for my microorganisms. It turned out that the bioships have their very own characteristics. For example, they stick to your arm when you are working with them. And it is very important that the chips are not reducing or clogging the outflow of your biofilter. I will make another video this year where I compare many different biofilter media types that I tried out during the last 10 years. I mentioned the pros and cons. And if you don't want to miss that out, I would be very happy if you subscribe to my channel and ideally also leave me a like. At the same time, the growth really speeded up and the tomatoes developed nice thrusts of fruits. Also, the first eggplant fruit was visible. Step by step, the greenhouse really turned into a jungle. But then, it was summer holidays in the school, I got a call from the proxy caretaker of the system. The water level was unusually high, and if I have changed something, I got asked. A little bit puzzled, I drove up to the system, and when I got there, I noticed I got robbed. A thief had stolen air pumps, ventilators, feeders, and other equipment. I called the police, but with no result at the end. And also, no insurance was covering anything because there were no real signs of a break-in. I assume the thief went into the side window from the greenhouse and opened the doors from the inside. Very, very disappointing. Anyway, I replaced for a couple of €100 the missing parts to be able to keep the system running until the end of the season. And the plants really thanked it with nice growth and quite some tomatoes were harvested. But also the beans performed very well. Only the chili and zucchini did not manage to produce some fruits. I don't know why, maybe some of the nutrients able were missing or maybe they also did not have enough space or pollinators in the greenhouse. And that year I also got myself a camera that I could use under the water. Here's some footage from my carp. In the end they reached a weight between 500 and 800 grams, if I remember correctly. It could have been a bit more after 2 years, but all in all, I was happy. I guess if you really feed very well and you have really full control over your system, you should be able to reach like 1 kilogram plus of your carps after 2 years or even more. At the same time, I also started my bachelor experiment. There, I analyzed from different fish farms the nutrient content of the effluent water to see if it was suitable for hydroponics. But more about that in a different video. The robbery and the perspective to make my master's degree in the Netherlands, which was 5 hours away of drive, brought the school and me to the conclusion that this was the last season of the school project. However, I stick to aquaponics and used my further steps in my further career to dive deeper into the topic. Thanks for watching. I really hope you could learn something from it, or you could see some tricks or things that you maybe can implement in your aquaponics system. If you have any questions or feedback on the video, just post in the comment section below. I would be very happy if I can answer some of the questions. And of course, I would be very, very happy if you subscribe and like my channel and of course ring the bell. And then I hope to see you next time for the next video and bye bye!